Some pretty shocking news coming out today, October the 27th, 2024, as we're hearing that Iran's supreme leader is seriously ill. Now, it has not been confirmed what it is, but we're hearing across social media platforms rumors that he has fallen terminally ill with cancer. Again, have not verified that yet, but take a look at the headlines that are coming out. This is what we know, and all of these articles, as you know, cited in the description below. I cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it. Coming out today, October the 27th, Iran's Khamenei seriously ill. Son is likely to be the successor as the supreme leader. We're hearing that he is going to need to step down because he has fallen seriously ill. Now, take a look at this, though. Coming out 4 hours ago, again, today, October the 27th, the Iranian leader says that the Israeli attack should not be exaggerated or downplayed. They need to retaliate exactly as they feel necessary with what has unfolded. And what we're hearing is it was some serious devastation. Take a look at this, you guys. The backbone of Iran's missile industry destroyed by the IAF strikes on the Islamic Republic. Now, we had heard a lot of downplay on this, saying that no, it was nothing serious. It wasn't anything severe. That was the initial responses we had got in the first place. Now we're hearing later on, no, it was pretty significant. Take a look. Israel's strikes in Iran set the stage for future attacks because they devastated so much of their military sites, and it actually provides a change in U.S. policy. And the United States and Israel, they're saying they're preparing for retaliation because what unfolded against Iran, absolutely, you guys, incredible. We're now hearing what hit them. And take a look. Israel expects a counterattack after hitting Iranian missile production sites. We're hearing that this was a devastating blow to Iran. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the latest information coming out on this today, Sunday, October the 27th, 2024. All of these articles linked in the description below coming out today. I'm going to give you all the details as we are hearing that the supreme leader is stepping down very seriously ill. Have not confirmed exactly what it is, but there's speculation across social media platforms. The rumor mill is saying that he is terminally ill with cancer, and they're going to need to replace him immediately. In addition to that, like I said, he is saying that they should not exaggerate or downplay, so don't sway one way or the other, but have a balanced retaliation. And they're saying they were hit pretty severely. Now the reports are coming out. Like I said, initially they were saying they were downplaying it. They said they actually destroyed the backbone of their missile industry. And the United States and Israel are saying they are preparing for retaliation as things are escalating in the Middle East. And we can anticipate retaliatory strikes coming against Israel. So I'm going to share with you the latest information, put it on the screen, read right from it so you can see it's the latest. All the articles are going to be linked in the description below, cited for you. And if you appreciate that, do me a favor, take a quick second, hit that like button for me. Just helps spread this out further across the social media platform. It is currently 9 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Houston, Texas, the United States, October 27, 2024. And if you want to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not hit that subscribe button? Turn on the notification bell to all so you're notified, and make sure you're staying subscribed. A lot of people letting me know here on the channel that we believe that there's something going on with the YouTube settings and updates. They got unsubscribed. Hasn't been happening recently, but just want to make sure that you're staying subscribed to the channel to stay notified with everything that's going on, because there is a lot going on, you guys. Today, jam-packed day, full of news with conflict escalating in the Middle East. And like I said, we're anticipating retaliatory strikes, and a lot of people saying this could escalate into World War III. Now, if you think that, drop a 3 in the comments. If you think, no, we're going to be able to avoid this, drop a 4. But we're hearing that things are escalating and quickly. A lot of people saying World War III is already here. I share with you that we heard that from Jamie Dimon. He came out and said, listen, you guys, World War III has already started. We're already calculating and taking into consideration what's going to be happening with the markets as a result of World War III already in full effect. And we've actually heard these warnings coming out from Israel. They have said, listen, this is not the end of the war. This is the very beginnings. This is just the beginning phase of the retaliatory strikes that Israel will place against Iran for all of the attacks that they have been doing over the years. And this kicked off, they said, October 7th, 2023. So it is very possible that when this is all said and done and they write the history books, they might say World War III started with Israel and the Hamas attacks on October 7th, 2023. They say the initial date after Everything is completed. So a lot of people saying we're already in it. It has already started, just has not been officially announced, and people don't realize it. Like I said, though, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the latest info. I see those 3s and those 4s pouring in. And while you're dropping those 3s or 4s, again, do me a favor. If you haven't done so yet, take a quick second, hit that like button for me. I see we've got 1,900 people almost live with me in the room, 558 likes. Just takes a second. And let me go ahead and get you caught up on the latest updates coming out as we're hearing that things are escalating. I see Mary is saying the hair is looking good, Steve. Thank you so much. I just hit 6 months since the operation, and I'm going to be doing a video for those of you that are interested in doing it as well. So let me go ahead, though, and get you caught up. I see people starting to pour in with comments and questions as to what's going on. I'm going to get you caught up on the latest, as there is a lot taking place. All right, so first, let's start out with the condition of the Supreme Leader, who we have heard has fallen ill. He's going to be stepping away, and let me know your thoughts. I heard somebody yesterday, I was hanging out with some friends, and somebody said it does not pay to be the enemy of Israel. All of their leaders, it seems like, are getting wiped out left and right, and even having helicopter crashes, getting assassinated, and falling terminally ill. And like I said, cannot confirm yet what it is. I haven't been able to confirm it on news media outlets, but social media is claiming that he has cancer. Now, Iran's supreme leader seriously ill, according to reports. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's second son is the possible successor. This coming out today. The 85-year-old supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is gravely ill, adding to the uncertainty of the Iranian response to Israel's weekend attack on their military installations, a report published Saturday in the New York Times said. Now, according to the report, the most powerful political authority in the Islamic Republic is seriously ill, and there is internal turmoil over the possibility that his second son, Mashtaba, 55, might succeed him. Now, the younger Khamenei served in the Iran-Iraq War from 1987 to 1988 and reportedly took control of the militia that was used to suppress the protests surrounding the results of the 2009 elections, which demonstrators said was rigged. His prospects for the position rose following the passing of the President Ebrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash earlier this year and replacement by President Mossad Pezeshkian. Now, Khamenei's father has held the life position for the last 35 years since his appointment in 1989 following the passing of the first supreme leader, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khamenei, with whom he was closely allied, making him the longest-serving head of the state in the Middle East. Let me see if there's any additional information on this one right here. Iran's Khamenei, seriously ill, son likely to be the successor as the supreme leader, it says. Iranian supreme leader Ali Khamenei, at age 85, is reportedly seriously ill, with his second oldest son, Mashtaba Khamenei, likely to succeed him when he passes. A Saturday New York Times report disclosed. So they're saying he is terminally ill. He's not going to make it. So he is stepping away. This is... what is this going to mean for the war? We will see, as his second son, they're saying, is likely going to be the successor. The report noted that Khamenei's serious medical condition created a quiet battle over his succession. It also stated that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps would have a say in who would become the Ayatollah's successor. Concern grew over Khamenei's successor after former Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi lost his life in a helicopter crash back in May. Khamenei has served as the supreme leader since 1989, when Ruhollah Khamenei, the first to hold the title, passed. Now, report comes after Israel's response to Iran's ballistic missile attack. The Times report came shortly after Israel responded to Iran's ballistic missile attack at the beginning of the month by striking numerous military sites earlier Saturday morning. Iran's officials have said that they do not want escalation with Israel, the Times reported. While attacking military targets in Iran, reports said that Israel had also attacked targets in Iraq and Syria as well. And we had heard that there was, if you look at the map between Israel and Iran, Syria and Iraq, that the jets went through and they took out all of those targets that would potentially stopped them from going through to Iran, so they were able to do so and hit all of those targets in phases. They went through 3 phases. The first phase, they took out several of those targets that were stopping them. The second and third phase, they went through and they actually got all the way into Iran, hit all of those, and we're hearing destroyed essentially the backbone of Iran's missiles, destroyed the backbone of Iran's missile industry. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to share with you this information coming out on this from the Jerusalem Post. This coming out actually yesterday, but updated today. Backbone of Iran's missile industry destroyed by the IAF strikes on the Islamic Republic. The targets struck were sophisticated equipment that Iran could not produce on its own. So they're saying that this was additional equipment that was received from ally nations to them that was hit. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. The Israel Air Force struck a dozen targets in Iran that were used to produce solid fuel or for long-range ballistic missiles as a part of its retaliatory military action against the Islamic Republic, severely harming Tehran's ability to replenish its inventory, it was reported on Saturday night. The targets struck were sophisticated equipment that Iran could not produce on its own and had to be purchased from China, Wallah reported. The targets were a critical component of Iran's ballistic missile program. Wallah cited 3 anonymous Israeli sources as saying, an American researcher said an Israeli airstrike on Saturday hit a building that was a part of Iran's defunct nuclear weapons development program, and he and another researcher said facilities used to mix solid fuel for missiles also were struck as well. Now, the assessments based on commercial satellite imagery were reached separately by David Albright, former UN weapons inspector, and Decker Eveleth, an associate research analyst at CNA, a Washington think tank. They told Reuters that Israel struck buildings in Parchin, a massive military complex near Tehran. Israel also hit Kojir, according to Eveleth, a sprawling missile production site near Tehran. So these were very, like they said, powerful, precise attacks that they said would shock the world. Now, initially, we had heard a lot of people saying, what was so impressive about these? And Iran was saying nothing was done. And I had people saying that they lived in Iran messaging me saying, we didn't even know the attacks happened until you reported on it. But a lot of people saying it was because they were very precise, and we're hearing that they actually dealt a devastating blow to Iran's missile equipment. Iran's military said the Israeli warplanes used very light warheads to strike border radar systems in the province of Ilam, Khuzestan, and also Tehran. In posts on X, Albright said commercial satellite imagery showed that Israel hit a building in Parchin called Telegon 2 that was used for testing activities during Ahmad's plan. Iran's defunct nuclear weapons development program. Now, the UN nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and U.S. intelligence say that Iran shuttered the program in 2003. Iran denies pursuing nuclear weapons. Albright, head of the Institute for Science and International Security Research Group, was given access to the program's files for a book after they were stolen from Tehran by Israel's Mossad intelligence agency in 2018. On X, he said the archives revealed that Iran kept important test equipment in the Telegon 2. Iran may have removed key materials before the airstrike, he said, but even if no equipment remained inside, the building would have provided intrinsic value for future nuclear weapon-related activities. Albright told Reuters that commercial satellite imagery for Parchin showed Israel damaged 3 buildings about 350 yards from Talgan 2, including 2 in which solid fuel for ballistic missiles was mixed. He did not identify the commercial firm from which he obtained the images. Avelis said that the images for Parchin from the Planet Labs, a commercial satellite firm, showed that Israel destroyed 3 ballistic missile solid fuel mixing buildings and a warehouse in the sprawling complex. So this is some pretty incredible news coming out on this, because they're saying they hit their military missile sites, that they broke the backbone of these. But these, they're saying, had the materials that were necessary to create nuclear weapons. So they're saying that this actually could have set them back in that arena as well, even though they did not hit those nuclear facilities. So, man, absolutely like powerful hits that happen here. This is definitely devastating for them, and we're hearing that Iran is saying that they will be retaliating to this. Planet Labs imagery also showed that an Israeli strike destroyed 2 buildings in the Kosher complex where solid fuel for ballistic missiles was mixed, he said. So again, solid fuels for ballistic missiles. These were some of the things that got hit in these attacks. The buildings were enclosed by high dirt berms, according to the image reviewed by Reuters. Such structures are associated with missile production and are designed to stop a blast in one building from detonating combustible materials in a nearby structure. Israel says they targeted buildings housing solid fuel mixers. Eveleth said, "These industrial mixers, they are hard to make and export controlled. And Iran imported many over the years at great expense and will likely have a hard time replacing these." With a limited operation, he said, Israel may have struck a significant blow against Iran's ability to mass-produce missiles and made it more difficult for any future Iranian missile attack to pierce Israel's missile defenses. So, wow, they're saying this has absolutely crippled their missile abilities and their ability to retaliate against Israel. So, this might have been very severe, very interesting. I was actually describing this to somebody last night when they were asking what actually unfolded, and I told them that the first ballistic missile attack that we saw from Iran, I said, think of it as 2 prize fighters fighting in a boxing match. One throws 181 punches, but only barely lands one. And the other fighter just covered up. That's basically what happened. 181 missiles fired, no real true damage that unfolded. Now the second fighter just throws a couple punches but lands them very accurately and precisely. That is the 2 different styles of what has unfolded here. As Israel, they're saying, didn't do a whole lot of damage. A lot of people, like I said, from Iran telling me nothing really happened. We don't really think it was anything. This was supposed to be some massive show of force. Well, then afterwards, we saw that the damage that was dealt to them, that's coming out in the reports 48 hours afterwards, was massively severe to their missiles. They're saying that Israel hit them pretty good, and a lot of it also was the mixtures, the elements necessary, the materials for ballistic missiles. So they're saying this could have been a crippling blow, and a lot of the elements that they hit were actually things that they themselves cannot produce, imported in from other nations. So this was a devastating blow. Even though it didn't seem like it was a whole lot, what we saw from Iran on Israel, we saw this massive display of missiles coming in. We saw the Iron Dome active. This whole thing with Israel, we didn't even see a whole lot of footage of the planes flying in, but we're hearing they hit them very precisely and accurately and have devastated their missile system in Iran. So very, very interesting, you guys. New updates on this. Incredible. And the report saying that it broke the backbone of their missile abilities in Iran. So, wow, just absolutely precise, strong, and shocking, just like Israel had reported they were going to do. Now, the article reading on says the strikes appear to be highly accurate. So these were extremely precise. Axios reported that Israel hit 12 planetary mixers. 12 of these mixers used to produce solid fuel for long-range ballistic missiles, quoting 3 unnamed Israeli sources as saying that these severely damaged Iran's ability to renew its missile stockpile and could deter Iran from further massive missile strikes against Israel. Israel's sources also stated that 4 S-300 air defense batteries attacks that were in strategic locations that protected nuclear and energy facilities in Tehran during the operations, a factory for the production of drones, and the facility in the Parchin military complex were also attacked, the latter of which saw in the past research and development activities for nuclear weapons. Wow, so they did not hit their nuclear facilities, but they hit a lot of facilities that held the materials and these items that could have helped them make that. So these were very, very devastating to Iran's missile capabilities. Additional reports of attacks. The Arabic independent online newspaper Alfa reported that Israel targeted a secret ballistic missile factory in Iran as well, destroying a large number of heavy fuel mixers used to power Kibar and Hajj Qassam missiles. both of which were fired by Iran at Israel at the beginning of the month. The report also claimed that the S-300 air defense batteries that were attacked were Russian-made and destroyed radars that feed these systems and others in Syria and Iraq. So they have essentially taken out their ability to defend themselves and also to attack. So this is some pretty amazing hits that were done by Israel against Iran on this. So these reports coming out, these are some serious blows that were dealt. And as we mentioned, these were not Iranian-made elements. They took out Russian-made elements that were provided to Iran. So now they're going to have to figure out some sort of way to replace these. They're likely going to have to do some more exchanges with Russia. So this is also going to be devastating them in trade and economy as well. The report said that the ballistic missile factory was completely destroyed. One source told Alpha that it was the backbone of Iran's missile industry and that Israel had put it out of service. Also reporting that each heavily fuel mixer destroyed was estimated to be at least $2 million, and about 20 mixers of this type were destroyed. So 2 million times 20, $40 million in damage of these mixers that would have helped them with their ballistic missiles. Now, while Walla reported that productions to restore such equipment would reportedly take at least 1 year, informed sources of the Iranian missile industry told Alpha that it would take at least 2 years to return the destroyed factory to service. Iranian and Israeli officials confirmed to the New York Times that Israel had targeted the defenses at the Bandar Imam Kahani petrochemical complex in Khuzestan province, at the major economic port Bandar Imam Kahani adjacent to it, and at the Abdan oil refinery as well. Israel is sending a clear message to us. Hamid Hassini, an expert in Iranian oil and gas industry and a member of the Iran-Iraq Chamber of Commerce, told the Times, this can have serious economic consequences for Iran. And now that we understand the stakes, we need to act wise and not continue the tensions. Wow, man. So we're hearing individuals coming out and saying, we need to take a step back. Israel is showing us that they will absolutely devastate us. And this could have serious implications for our economy, for our military, for our nation. Wow, absolutely. We just read it. Absolutely shocking, you guys. Israel might have just hit Iran so hard. Now, Iran was saying that at first they were just brushing it off, saying it was nothing. But now we're hearing reports coming out saying they might need to take a step back and reassess. And in addition to that, we are hearing, like I shared with you, a change in leadership just announced in the last 24 hours, you guys. As we're hearing the Ayatollah Supreme Leader, he is stepping down. We're hearing he is terminally ill, stepping away from this. And let me know your thoughts. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are saying it looks like it is not good to be a leader in Iran or with their proxy groups right now. Israel wiping them out. We're seeing them taking out the chain of command in Hezbollah, Hamas, literally wiping out those that are supposed to come into positions of power. And we saw helicopter crashes for the Iranian president take place. We've seen commanding generals and guards being wiped out in missile attacks, hotels. Absolutely amazing. And now we're hearing that the supreme leader, he has fallen terminally ill. And like I said, rumors are that he now has cancer that has become so severe that he has to step aside. And now his second son, they're saying, might be coming into command. Let me know your thoughts. Is this a sign that you should probably not mess with Israel? If you think so, drop a 1. If you think that this is just coincidence, drop a 2. But man, it seems like all of these leaders that are in power in Iran and their proxies, man, it is not good to be in a position of power. We actually saw the after the leaders of Hezbollah were wiped out, they put in a second person to be in command. He was eliminated just within hours after that. Then the third person that was going to come in, he said, no, I'm not taking the position right now. This is not necessary. We will discuss it later. We're going to go ahead and discuss who's going to be in the position. He did not take on that leadership role. That individual was assassinated in the last 48 hours as well. So they are wiping them out left and right. Jeff Shannon, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, sounds like God is helping Israel win this war. What do you think, Steve? Well, yeah, I'd say, as a Judeo-Christian believer, I believe that Israel is God's people. I also believe that the Bible says that the Christians now, the believers in Christ, the Bible says that we are grafted in by adoption. Israel was the initial covenant people of God, and then now he opens that up. We are now the adopted children, those that are Christians. That's what we as believers in Christ believe. I believe the Jews just believe in the Torah, the original Old Testament doctrine, and they believe that it is just them, and they're still waiting for the Messiah. But if you are a Judeo-Christian believer, you believe that we are grafted in by adoption. But the original promise, the covenant, was made with Abraham and his lineage, and according to the Bible, that is the nation of Israel. And he says those who bless them will be blessed, and those who curse them will be cursed. And that still abides today. So yes, I personally, but you know, it's just my opinion. I'm just a guy on YouTube, but I personally believe that as well. I believe pray for God's people, pray for Israel, and I believe that whether you want to believe that it's God or you want to believe that it's the military of Israel, it sure does not look good to be one of the enemies of Israel at this time. Because, man, they are getting wiped out left and right. But if you want to ask me personally, yes, I believe that the military is being led by the hand of God. But I know not everybody believes that. If you don't believe that, that's totally fine. That's totally okay. That's just my perspective if you want to know. And like I said, we are hearing that there will be a response. Even though the Supreme Leader is going to be stepping down, he said that there will be a retaliation. It should not be exaggerated or downplayed, but it should be a appropriate, proportional response to what we have seen. And as you can see, this coming out just 4 hours ago today. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Iran's Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, he has given a measured response to Israel's strikes on the country, saying that the attack should not be exaggerated or downplayed, while refraining from pledging immediate retaliation. But we are hearing, I shared with you yesterday, there will be a retaliation. President Mossad Pezeshkian said Iran would give an appropriate response to the attack, which ended the lives of at least 4 soldiers, adding that Tehran did not seek war. Israel said it targeted military sites in several regions of Iran on Saturday in retaliation for Iran's attacks, including a barrage of almost 200 ballistic missiles fired towards Israel on October 1st. Now, on Sunday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel had crippled Iranian air defense and missile production systems. He said that the strikes had severely damaged Iran's defense capability and its ability to produce missiles. So that coming out today, you guys, October the 27th, we're getting this information coming in saying they were severely damaged with those attacks. Now, the attack was precise and powerful and achieved its goal, Netanyahu said at a ceremony commemorating the victims of the last year's 7th October attacks. The regime must understand a simple principle. Whoever hurts us, we will hurt them. Official Iranian sources have publicly played down the impact of the attacks, saying that most missiles were intercepted and those that weren't caused only limited damage to the air defense systems. In his first public comments since the attack, Khamenei said, "It is up to the authorities to determine how to convey the power and will of the Iranian people to the Israeli regime and to take actions that serve the interest of this nation and country." Now, President Pezeshkian largely echoed the Supreme Leader's language, telling the cabinet meeting, "We do not seek war, but we will defend the rights of our nation and of this country." Now, do me a favor. I see we've got 2,900 people live with me in the room. Take a second if you haven't done so yet. If you appreciate the updates, the breaking news, keeping you up to speed on everything, hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further. Subscribe to stay up to date if this is your first time here. And all of these articles linked in the description below. I cite all the sources just like a book report, so that way you know that it is the latest. Now, it says the Israeli strikes, they were more limited than some observers had been expecting. The U.S. had publicly pressured Israel not to hit oil and nuclear facilities, advising seemingly heeded by Tel Aviv. The Iranian foreign minister said on Sunday that Iran had received indications about an impending attack hours before it took place. We had received indications since the evening about the possibility of an attack that night, Abbas Arghachi told reporters without going into more detail. Western countries had urged Iran in turn not to respond in order to break the cycle of escalation between both the Middle East countries, which they fear could lead to all-out regional war. Iranian media has carried footage of daily life continuing as normal and framing the limited damage as a victory, a choice analyst said was intended to reassure Iranians. Now, fighting continued between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon and between Israel and Palestinian armed groups Hamas in Gaza. On Sunday, an Israeli airstrike on the town of Sidon in southern Lebanon ended the life of at least 8 people, according to local authorities. Late on Sunday, Lebanon said at least 21 people have lost their lives in an Israeli strike on the southern part of the country. In Gaza, 9 people lost their lives in an Israeli strike on a school-turned-shelter in the Al-Shati refugee camp, Palestinian officials have said. Palestinian media and the Reuters news agency said 3 of those that lost their lives were Palestinian journalists, citing government officials. And in Israel, a man lost his life and at least 30 were injured after a truck hit a bus stop near an Israeli military base north of Tel Aviv in what authorities said was a suspected attack. So, a lot of retaliatory attacks going on back and forth between the two nations. Things are escalating. We're expecting to see some form of retaliatory strike from Iran. And as I mentioned, everything is changing. We're hearing the leadership is changing. We're hearing that the attacks that Israel did, they were precise, powerful, and they are now shocking everyone at how much they did, in fact, devastate Iran. And I just read from you a quote from an Iranian leader that said, "We might need to reassess potentially what's at risk here." Israel is sending us a very clear message that they can deal us a devastating blow because this was a pretty significant one. Now, I shared with you that the Supreme Leader is saying there needs to be a proportional response, which we're hearing would be pretty severe. But he is also stepping down because of illness. And we're also hearing this coming out today as well, just a couple of hours ago. Israel's strike in Iran set the stage for future attacks because they hit so many of these missiles, the defense abilities, and the ability for them to launch, that this sets up the future attacks for Israel, and it is a change coming for U.S. policy. Listen to this. With the passage of time since Israel's airstrike on Iran on early Saturday, the tone coming out of Tehran appears to be changing. So like I said, initially we had heard, not a big deal, whatever, we're okay. Now we're hearing that is not the case. Now, in the first hours immediately after the attack, the official line was that Iran managed to repel Israeli attacks and that the damage, if any, was minor. The Tasman news agency, close to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, hastened to announce that only 20 Israeli jets were involved in the attack and that they were prevented from entering Iranian airspace by the regime's anti-aircraft forces. But then later on Saturday, the Iranians began to understand the intensity and the depth of the damage. General Ismail Qasari, a senior member of the Revolutionary Guard and a member of Iran's Supreme Security Council, said, "Israel must pay for the intrusion into Iran's skies, and the Israelis, they must get used to the reality of living in shelters." So absolutely furious with what has happened, as now it's starting to come out the severity of the damage that was inflicted upon Iran. The assessment coming out of Iran is now starting to match that of the U.S. and Israel, who believe that the strike did significant damage to Iran's air defense system and missile programs. And I shared with you the details that this has devastated their ability to launch missiles. $40 million worth of mixers for the materials necessary for ballistic missiles devastated. And they said these are not something that they provide in Iran. This is something that they got imported in from Russia. The decision on whether to respond currently rests with the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and while he spoke somewhat ambiguously on Sunday, so far, other senior Iranian officials have stayed silent, either out of the embarrassment or out of fear of making promises that they cannot keep. One thing seems clear: Iran suffered a bigger blow than it expected. So they're saying that this, now that they're starting to assess the damage, was pretty devastating. The U.S. issued a warning to Tehran not to respond, with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin saying Iran should not make the mistake of responding to Israel strikes. which should mark the end of the exchange. I shared this with you yesterday. The United States saying, stop it now. Stop the retaliatory attacks. Iran, do not respond because Israel is going to deal some devastating blows. Do not retaliate. Now, we are hearing Iran is saying they are going to retaliate. U.S. President Joe Biden told reporters that it looks like Israel didn't hit anything other than military targets, saying that his hope is that this is the end of the exchange of the fire between the two major Middle Eastern military powers. Israel may have hoped for a more forceful statement from the U.S. to deter Iran from responding, but such a threat is unlikely to be issued just over a week before the presidential elections. Israel made a clear choice to not push Iran into a corner, choosing limited strikes on military targets instead of a larger attack on energy infrastructure or government targets, as had been discussed in recent weeks. Now, the IDF spokesperson's statement at the time of the attack put clear emphasis on the fact that the strikes were targeted and aimed at military sites alone. Andrew, thank you so much for hitting the join button. Welcome to the Ram fam. Thank you for the monthly contributions and support. I appreciate that a ton. As a result of that, now, not only will the articles be linked in the description below for you, but they're also going to pop up in your YouTube feed. Just a little extra thing I do to say thank you for the support. I appreciate that a ton. I also see BA Technologies on there. It says, thank you, Steve. Christ is King. Amen to that. I believe Christ is King as well. The article says that Iran said its October 1st missile attack on Israel, which involved the launch of almost 200 ballistic missiles, solely targeted military sites. The IDF spokesperson said in a statement indicates that Israeli response was aimed at proportionality and deterrence, not escalation. Now, while the damage from Israel's attack is clearly extensive, the fact that most of the damage was away from population centers and was limited to military bases leaves the Iranians room to say that the strikes were unsuccessful or that they don't need to respond. So, like I said, very different approaches to these attacks. We have Iran launching 181 ballistic missiles towards population sites, all of them being intercepted, a couple of them hitting military sites, hitting the ground. We're only hearing one loss of life that was actually a Palestinian individual that was in the area. Kind of like I mentioned, two fighters going at it, one throwing tons of punches, only landing maybe a couple that did very little damage. On the other hand, we have Israel launching very precise and accurate hits that they didn't even realize did damage until afterwards they realized, oh, this was very severe. So one throwing tons of punches, hitting very little, one just a couple of quick punches, very accurate, dealing a lot of damage. That is what we have seen unfold here from Israel. And like I said, Iran now assessing the damage, some even saying maybe we should reassess a retaliation because the damage that was dealt is a clear message that Israel can do a severe blow to Iran. Now, the hidden damage, Israel may have also attacked sites in Iran that the regime is unlikely to reveal to the public, some of which are secretive and related to the country's nuclear projects. So they're saying they didn't hit nuclear sites, but they did hit military targets that contain materials that they would use for nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. So they might not divulge this because if they do, they have to confess the fact that they are producing these nuclear weapons, but it sounds like they did some devastating damage to Iran. One such target may have been in the city of Karaj, northwest of Tehran, where Israel struck a number of anti-aircraft batteries. Karaj, however, is home of the centrifuge industry of Iran's nuclear system, and it is entirely possible that Israeli strikes in the city were not limited to the missile system. The Karaj centrifuge facility has been targeted in the past, which a major attack was in 2021, being wildly attributed to Israel, though it never claimed responsibility for the attack. And I shared with you, we actually saw a fire at that facility just a couple of days ago. Now, according to a report from the New York Times, Israeli also targeted the secretive Parchin military base on the outskirts of Tehran on Saturday. The report cited Iranian officials as saying that the site was hit during the Israeli attack, and I shared with you information regarding that in the previous article that we just read as well. Now, we're also hearing that Israel expects counterattacks after hitting Iranian missile production sites. So the United States Israel, they are preparing for retaliatory strikes that are going to be coming from Iran. Prime Minister at Mount Herzl, Air Force severely harmed Iran's defense capabilities and its ability to produce missiles that would be launched at us. So they are saying they have dealt a devastating blow, and they know it. They are aware of it. Here you can see a picture of Benjamin Netanyahu. You can see this Tehran in Iran. You can see the flags, and you can also see Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu there on that billboard. Now it says Israel expects that Iran would launch a counterattack against the Jewish state in response to its successful strike against Iranian military targets, including missile production facilities, security sources told the Jerusalem Post on Sunday. Iran's supreme leader, Saeed Ali Khamenei, threatened Israel in a post on X written first in English and then repeated in Hebrew. Zionists are making a miscalculation with respect to Iran, Khamenei wrote. Now, they don't know Iran. They still haven't been able to correctly understand the power, initiative, and determination of the Iranian people. We need to make them understand these things. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed that the Israeli Air Force struck Iranian missile targets early Saturday morning in a public address he gave at state ceremony to mourn the fallen soldiers in Israel's war on its southern and northern borders in the past year. Now, exacting the price from Israel's enemies. In the early hours on Saturday morning, the IAF hit areas in Iran, severely harming its defense capabilities and its abilities to produce missiles that would be launched at us, Netanyahu said. The attack on Iran was precise and powerful, achieved all of its objectives. He thanked the United States for its close cooperation and assistance. The Biden administration has clarified that it was not involved in the attack, although it was given advance notice that it would take place. Now, it was Netanyahu's first public comments on the attack, which he placed within the larger context of the Swords of Iron War at the Mount Herzl ceremony. Netanyahu recalled how in the last year, Israel has risen above the losses that it has suffered during that initial Hamas-led invasion on October 7th. Israel has battled Iran and its proxies as it has rewritten history in its wars of resilience, which has been an existential battle, Netanyahu explained. The Swords of Iron War, he said, has taken place on 7 fronts, and the IDF exacted a heavy price from its enemies. He recalled how Iran had launched a ballistic missile attack against Israel at the start of October in response to Israel's assassination of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, almost a year into the IDF war with the Iranian proxy group. Now, on Saturday, in its response to that Iranian ballistic missile attack, Israel decided to go after the head of the octopus after hitting at its tentacles for months. So they're referring to Iran, which a lot of people are saying is the head of the snake. Those who strike us, we will strike. This is a tenet that has accompanied us all this time and will accompany us going forward, he said. Gallant, at the same ceremony, said that in the last year, the IDF turned the tide of the war, chalking up security up unprecedented achievements in all sectors of combat. So you guys, we are hearing that Israel is saying this was a major victory. We're hearing this essentially reiterated by Iran, saying that they might need to take into consideration taking a step back because they need to consider what is at stake here, as they are hearing that there was some serious damage that was dealt to Iran's missile capabilities, missile defenses, and it might not be a good idea to move forward. But we're hearing that the supreme leader, he is saying, no, we will move forward. And we are also hearing, though, that he has come down terminally ill and is likely going to be replaced by his second son, as rumors are that he has cancer that is striking him severely. Now, we will see once I get information about what exactly is going on with him, why he is stepping away. I'll be sure to let you know here on the channel, but we're hearing there are some major changes that are unfolding here in the conflict in the Middle East. But we're hearing that things are escalating. They are not dying down. Retaliatory strikes are coming. This is not the end. This is just the beginning we are hearing warnings of. And like I said, whatever unfolds, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. Now, do me a favor. I see we got 2,800 people with me live. If you haven't done so yet, please take a second, hit that like button. Literally just need 30 more likes to get to 2,000 likes while we're live. That is amazing. Thank you so much for the support. Hit subscribe to stay up to date. If this is your first time here, I'll keep you up to speed on everything. It's totally free. Why not? I cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it. You can see all these articles coming out or being updated today, October the 27th, 2024, with the latest news. And also, thank you so much for those of you becoming members. I see Jerry right now says, thank you, Steve. I know you've had a long day today. There's been a lot going on. I see that star. Thank you for hitting that join button with those monthly contributions and support. Appreciate that a ton. Not necessary, but greatly appreciated. And as a result, you will get all of these articles that I'm referencing popping up in your feed as well. Just a little extra thing that I like to do to say thank you for the support. But you guys, we will see. More is coming. I'll keep you up to date on everything. And elections are right around the corner. And we've heard that whoever becomes the president of the United States, that is going to have a major role in how things are going to be unfolding in the Middle East. As we've heard Netanyahu say, that if the current policies stay in place with a Harris administration, that this is going to be a long, drawn-out war, and that is exactly what Israel is preparing for right now. However, if Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States, they're saying that him and Netanyahu are side by side in their thoughts. They're saying go for Iran, address the threats, eliminate them, hit nuclear facilities, which is an existential threat, not just to Israel, but the United States, as Iran chants death to Israel and death to the U.S. So we will see. Like I said, I will keep you guys up to speed every step of the way so you know exactly what is going on. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the support. Thank you for hitting that like button. And I will catch you in the next one. You guys have a good night. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.